Taking action is all that matters. I have realized this just a couple of moments ago when I really understood what it really takes to move the needle, to progress, to move into the journey and to achieve your goals is to just take action and let the learning make its magic along the way. And so I want to tell you a story about how I got started with serious self improvement. And so, if you don't know, I really started to get serious on self improvement around school break last year on June, July of 2024. This is when I discovered the concept of dopamine detox. And what basically this implies is that you abstain from bad dopamine. So that includes the quintessential typical habits that a teenager has: doom scrolling, watching porn, junk food, consuming junk food, alcohol, drugs. But I don't do alcohol because, well, I haven't tried it before. But I mean, I am actually legal to drink, but I haven't tried it, and so it hasn't really been a problem to me. But the point is, the main two things that I needed to abstain back then was YouTube consumption and watching anime. Because for a long, long time, I have really been like binge watching anime series and just watching YouTube videos left and right. Sometimes I watch YouTube videos on repeat. And so that was becoming a problem to me as these activities are wasting a lot of my time and potential. And so when I discovered the concept of dopamine detox in a YouTube recommended like homepage, it was a blessing because I really discovered that this is where the real fun starts when you abstain from all of this very overly stimulating dopamine sources and switching to more of its healthier alternatives. And so I got committed to listening more to podcasts, educational podcasts. I have been watching The Diary of a CEO, Modern Wisdom, Deep Dive with Ali Abdel. So many interesting podcasts out there that are sharpening my mind and my perception about the things that I'm curious about. And I have really been interested in the concept of dopamine, so I have discovered Andrew Huberman. He is one of my OG fans because I have been watching him before I discovered dopamine detox. I think it was around before school break I discovered the concept of dopamine and how it is really affecting our overall daily living because it actually affects our motivation levels. So because of this, it's like I have taken this seriously, dopamine detox, and I got introduced by taking action with this just a couple of days ago when I watched a dopamine detox video and I straight up implemented it. And so the biggest thing that I did was I kind of deleted social media on my phone. I haven't installed it like I actually installed it just, a couple of months later so that I could see my friend's status and everything. But a couple of months before doing that, before installing my social media apps, it was bliss. It was great. And I have really started to be more introspective in this time, to journal, to implement the good habits that Hamza was preaching. So there was journaling, meditation, cold showers, morning routine, being disciplined, having a timetable, all of this stuff. I got introduced by these concepts. And so, a long time, for a long, long time, I didn't take action with any of these advices. I was watching Hamza's full guides and his most popular videos, and I kind of got stuck into this trap of rabbit hole where I didn't take action. And so what I was doing doesn't move the needle, doesn't make me progress, doesn't make me grow. And so what happens is that I become complacent and I just pretty much just take notes on my software Apple Notes and my journaling notebook. And so that was a problem because I was procrastinating, but because I'm smart, I can justify this, that I am still being a productive person when I'm watching this and just taking notes. But what I didn't realize is that just didn't not taking action after taking notes on these concepts are disastrous because I don't know, it's just something that I don't really like to take action that much because looking back to it now, I always feared failure when I get rejected. For example, when I started the YouTube channel a couple of months ago, um, I think it has been a year or almost a year now when I first uploaded my first video, and of course, starting a YouTube channel, you'll feel invisible. But I became impatient that time because I really wanted to get views and subscribers, but it isn't how it is. It took me a long time to realize that having a sustainable YouTube channel and growing on it requires you to be patient and to also present your authentic self. Because if you are always chasing the likes, the comments, the analytics on the YouTube studio, you are going to struggle and you're going to fall off quickly because it's not sustainable. It's not fun for you. You're not curious about your day to day job as a YouTuber, scripting, recording, and editing, if you're not putting your heart and soul into it. And so the old advice of just loving what you do works really well here. And I have really learned that perfectionism is my biggest enemy because for a long time I really struggled with this concept of perfectionism. I didn't really want to try a certain thing because I was fearing failure. So that was my biggest Achilles heel for a long time. But I just realized that now quantity beats quality in terms of the output that you can produce in the long term. Because if you are consistent when you are making mistakes, that mistakes will actually lead you to more success because the mistakes will allow you to learn from them and to step up. And so the next time you implement a certain thing in an activity, you can succeed in producing the best output possible. And just the mindset of doing your best every single time, even if you fail, is so powerful. And I would want to start to implement it right away. And so taking notes made me less introspective because I was very drawn to the concepts of the self improvement videos that I was watching. And so didn't really journal as much, and I just focused on gratitude journaling, which is not enough clearly if you really want to have clear changes in your life. I didn't take notes about the questions that these people were preaching on self improvement videos, which was not great because questioning yourself is important. Like, how can I understate that? Questioning yourself would lead you to answers that are original, that are authentic to you. And so when you implement those answers that you have answered to the questions that your self improvement videos are preaching, it's like that's transformative, really transformative. And I lacked that for a long time. I was just taking notes, I was just reading, but I just read, but like I didn't take action with it on a consistent basis. I only take action like once in a couple of days, but for a couple of months, it was a stretch. Kind of felt like I had ADHD or something because I always change things left and right. At the beginning, July of 2024, I had a habit tracker which I suddenly didn't really use as much because I got distracted. I am very easily distracted by all of these things on the internet, and so when I have a habit tracker posted on my room here, um, I wasn't consistent with it because I was looking for like justifications on how can I be consistent with it, such as I need to have this on a digital in a digital format so that I can check it off when I go on vacation or something. But I straightly interject that because how many times would I actually go on a vacation in a couple of months? Almost none. And so why did I need to have a digital platform of habit tracker when I am always at home, I'm always at my room, and so I can just check it off and kind of realized this the hard way, but just pen and paper works really well here. And I got back my habit tracker here. This is it. This is my habit tracker right now. I don't plan on having a digital format of a habit tracker anytime soon. And so, moving on to school, because a couple of months in with my serious self improvement, school started. And I really was beginning to implement the social skills advice that my beloved self improvement videos were preaching about. And I was also reading How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and it was good because before even class started, I already made a friend, so that was a good milestone. But couple of months in school, what I really struggled was me justifying that self improvement was more important than schoolworks. And so I started to do my morning routine at school instead of doing my homework or school outputs before school started. Like a couple of months ago, I had a schedule of 8:30 a.m. as when class started, and so I would always go to school before 7 a.m. and so I had an hour and 30 minutes vacant. And so what I did before was I was just reading self-improvement books instead of doing my homework. So that was not good for productivity in that time. So moving on to school, I struggled because I really justified that self-improvement was way better. But I didn't realize is that I was kind of having a mental health depression or something like that, if you can call it that. I had actually, looking back to it now, it wasn't depression, it was more anxiety, because if I wasn't doing schoolworks earlier on that I expected, it was like it would come and haunt me for a couple of days because I wasn't doing that. Instead, I was procrastinating by watching self improvement videos. And so I learned this the hard way, but still, when you're at school, you need to do schoolworks, of course. And outside of that, you can do things that are outside of school. And so, this kind of concept, I kind of been introduced to environmental design, where you are only doing a certain activity at a certain place, is incredible. It's actually really good practice to implement. And so that was actually the reason why I had this really life changing moment when I get out of my rut a couple of weeks ago when I was um, implementing this environmental design principle where I strictly only did this YouTube work here in this room, and this me playing the guitar for a long time. Though I wasn't playing the guitar at all, because back then this guitar was placed right over there at the back of the room that I'm staying in right now. And even if that is the case, even if it's near me, because I don't see it right now, I see it here. But back then, this guitar, I wasn't seeing it right at the back. That was enough for me to not practice guitar. That sucked because it was kind of been, collecting dust for a long time. But now it's been getting the care and attention it deserves because I also have a microfiber towel close by to wipe the dust in this guitar. And so now I've been practicing a lot more often. So that's the power of environmental design. Look, my guitar is here. And so that kind of simple approach of just doing a simple activity or just a specific activity at a certain place will condition your brain that, oh, it's time to do this activity here. You'll be a lot more motivated and you are more conducive to achieving flow state and to focus on the task at hand. And it's been good. Like, I've been consistent for a couple of weeks now with this kind of setup, Actually, if I'm being honest with you, just 1 week. Like 1 week, I just 1 week ago is the only time that I implemented this environmental design tactic. And so it was good because I was productive. I was doing this YouTube work a lot more seriously. I was playing the guitar more often. And also I was reading books because I really value the sacredness of reading a book. But I was always struggling to reading books consistently because I was doing it in different places. But now I have decided to only read books in this room. And so I have a bookshelf right at the back, and so I would always pick up a book to read when I was bored and in this room. And so I also like applied the principle of environmental design so that I can focus on a specific concept in a certain book. Because if I wasn't reading a certain concept in the same room, I would probably lose focus very quickly. And so what I was doing back downstairs in the living room was something entirely different because I turned my productive mode off and instead turned on my play mode where I would socialize with my parents and would only watch K-drama Netflix downstairs and nowhere else. And so this specific like associations of different activities in certain environments really helped me to get out of ruts quicker and focus more on execution. And so I didn't actually plan on doing this video. I scheduled this video on Tuesday, but right now it's Monday. And so, you know, being here in this room actually made me to do this video. I'm a lot more motivated because before I was going to press or hit record, I was bored, and so kind of just wanted to do this video. So that is powerful. That is a competitive advantage if you really harness your environment to focus and to only associate a certain activity in a certain environment. And so I apologize again for the background noise if you can hear them. If not, then good. So to conclude this video, taking action, it would be a lot easier if you really implemented environmental design. And I am really realizing this just right now that as an 18-year-old, I am very fortunate to be on this path. And I'm already ahead a lot of people. And if you are watching this and you are already committing yourself to personal development, then hats off to you. And at this point, it's like you'll learn a lot more from experiencing life than to reading 5 social skills books or something, or watching a podcast about how to deal with people or how to deal with women. Just experience life. And while you're experiencing life, learn along the way. Because it'll give you the best teacher, experience. Having experience would eventually lead to you growing, and all of those mistakes that you were making with these experiences are stepping stones to success. And there's actually a bonus here. If you do have lots of life experiences, you would have more friends because you would have so many more things to talk about. And so I'm reflecting about my self-improvement journey, about how I got into the trap of just consuming self-improvement content without taking any clear action. And so right now I really just want to focus on execution on this YouTube channel and playing this guitar, and also in the future doing the CFOP Rubik's Cube and programming so that I could prepare for school. So that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.